All right, Steve. So, talk to me. How did you get to write a book of poetry?
Well, Leroy, that's a good question. I am not a poet. I never thought I'd be a poet. It started back about 2 years ago when my landlord came up to me and said, "Hey, we sold your house that we've been renting to you for 30 years. I went into shock. My wife was very angry, and we had to deal with it real quick. I'm a veteran and did a couple of tours in Vietnam, and so I went back to the VA, and I went to their counselors and went to their counselors, and they told me that they could put my wife in one place with the kids and put me in another place. I said, no, that's not going to happen. And I happened to see a brochure, and the brochure said they were building houses out in Santa Clarita for low-income veterans. And I never thought I'd qualify, but I called anyways, and I talked to a man named Caesar. And he said, come down. So I came down and filled out the application. He said, hey, you're looking pretty good. You know, you might just qualify. So to make a long story short, I ended up qualifying. I had to put in 500 sweat equity hours, and part of these hours were either working on the project, working on the houses, working at a store, or doing different classes. So I did a little of all. So I took a class called Tear Soup. And in that class, Leroy, it was about pain and suffering that you suffered during the war, and you had to make a scrapbook. So I brought some patches and got some pictures and things, and I found a couple of poems that I had written, and I put them in the scrapbook, and then I started writing more poems. So I ended up with, I think, 7 or 8 poems in the scrapbook, and they just loved it. And it was very, like I was crying writing these poems that I couldn't understand what was going on here. In reality, I was just getting some of that stuff out of me, you know, that was in for so long. They asked me later if I can do a poem for the, it's called a Builder's Ball at Habitat for Humanity at Universal Sheraton. It was a black tie event with a bunch of big shots, you know, and I thought, hey, why not? And I said, what's it all about? And they said, well, it's about a fundraising, and it's also about World War II veterans. I told them I was thinking about writing a poem for World War II vets, which I did. And you know, I asked them if I could do that, and they said fine. So I did it, and they liked it. And then I thought this would be great if it had a video behind it. So I told them about that. They liked that. They created the video. So I did the poem and the video, and it was an awesome event. It was really, really nice. And then I thought, why not write more poetry? So I started writing more. And as I started writing, it just, all the stuff kept coming out, and where the stuff came from, I have no idea. I think the Lord just gave it to me. I don't know. But I ended up deciding to write a book. So I started writing and writing and writing, and I decided to write one for each 1,000 service members that died in Vietnam. And so I wrote 58 poems, and that's kind of how I got started. So I do have a couple of poems I'd like to read, if that's okay with you. We ended up getting the house. We've been in the house now for about 1.5 years, and we're loving it. It's great.